My name is Kathy, and I'm a PhD candidate at the University of British Columbia.
And my name is Lisa Kalynchuk. I'm the Vice President Research and Innovation at the University of Victoria.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalynchuk, for taking the time out of your day to be interviewed today. I'm just going to start off with a couple of questions more broadly about UVic's research programs.
Great.
So the first question is, UVic achieved record levels of funding this year, totaling nearly $200 million. So what's driving this impressive growth, and how are these new research dollars translating into real-world impact across Canada?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We're so excited at UVic to be reaching record levels of research income, and I think I'd have to say it's real collective effort. So we've strategically tried to recruit research chairs into clusters. We have a cluster of climate researchers, health researchers, and building in some other spaces. And I think we're starting to see those synergies delivering larger grants than we've had in the past. And so this is bringing a lot more revenue. But I think the other thing I'd like to say about UVic is that we're home to a number of large research platforms that draw a lot of money. So we have Ocean Networks Canada that is bringing in record numbers of money through the CFI. They also were successful with a New Frontiers grant of $24 million to advance their solid carbon project. And then we've got our big CFREF project, which is focused on energy transitions. And then we're home to we're a host site for one of the 5 advanced research computing sites in the country, our Abuta site, which is mostly a cloud site. But there was substantial federal government investment in that site to expand their infrastructure and to be able to offer more capacity to Canadian scientists across the country. So all of these things together, I think, are coming at the right time and really allowing us, I think, to raise our profile as a research-intensive university in this country.
Yeah, I love that there is a mix of both very large projects as well as systemic organizations that really are driving this impact.
Yeah, and I think, you want to try to bring as many people as possible into the effort, right? Mm-hmm. I think sometimes at universities, when they see administrators like us focus on 2 or 3 areas, they can feel left out. And so I think we've achieved a good balance at UVic of having those high-profile strategic projects while still leaving space for independent researchers to also excel and reach their aspirations.
Absolutely. And speaking of a major project, so UVic is now among a select group of institutions leading major research initiatives funded by the Canada First Research Excellence Fund. Tell us more about UVic's Accelerating Community Energy Transformation Initiative. What does it hope to achieve, and what makes it different from other climate-related research programs?
Yeah, we're so excited about our CFREF project and grateful for the funding. I think what's really cool about this is that it focuses on communities first. And so instead of approaching the project and saying, researchers are going to develop all of the solutions and bring them to the communities, we're going to the communities first and asking them, what do they want to do in this space? What do they see as their clean energy options? And then working with them as an honest broker to bring the right industry partners to the table, to bring the right government programs to the table, and really try to help them see what is the business plan and how can they transition from a focus on fossil fuels to the form of clean energy that is the right solution for them. And so, in British Columbia, we're working with some communities, for example, that are located along the coastline. So for them, a marine energy source might be the right one. But then if you look at a northern community that is located inland, it could be that solar is the right option for them, or wind. And so really this is about working independently with each community to help them achieve their goals, instead of us coming as researchers and trying to tell them what the right solution should be for them. So I think that co-creation and that community first approach is unique, and so we're really excited about that.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear about how the university is acting almost like a hub for making connections, as well as prioritizing the needs of the community and really letting them lead.
Yeah, and I think, obviously when you do this work, it's a bit slower, right? And so we started off with 5 communities where we really wanted to have demonstration sites. But then once you start to have those projects be successful, it draws in other communities because they hear about what happened and then they want to be part of it too. So what we're hoping is by having these demonstration sites with a few communities in British Columbia, we'll be able to scale this across the country and potentially globally as well as an approach to really allow both Canada but also other countries to achieve their net zero goals.
Yeah, that's truly phenomenal to hear. My next question is related to Indigenous communities. So Indigenous scholarship is a key focus at UVic and one that's included in Aspiration 2030, UVic's research and creative work strategy. How is UVic operationalizing that priority when it comes to research?
Yeah, so, I think at UVic, one of the things we're really proud of is that we have a very large cohort now of Indigenous scholars. I think we've got more than 70 of our faculty out of 900 are Indigenous, and so that's great. And, obviously they're all very keen to advance their research. One of the areas where we've had a lot of emphasis recently is in Indigenous law. We're super excited in September to open our new Indigenous Law Center. It's a spectacular building on our campus, and it's amazing how space can galvanize activity. When I go in there now and you see all of the timber and the open beams and the glass classrooms that open into the forest and just that green space and that inspiration is incredible. And I see our students really flourishing in that program. And also, I think advancing work in Indigenous legal orders, which I think is really important to achieve reconciliation in our country. And beyond law, we have a Canada Excellence Research Chair now in Indigenous Artistic Practice. It was one of the first Indigenous circs in Canada, and she's doing amazing work. We've also brought in some other Canada Research Chairs who are Indigenous scholars who are working on land governance and important issues in British Columbia. And we're home to Circle, which is an Indigenous research center that supports all areas of Indigenous scholarship, but focuses a lot of its efforts on providing a space for Indigenous graduate students, a place where they can come meet with other students, discuss some of the challenges they're experiencing, maybe in their community work or in their interactions with others on campus. And that's become really a galvanizing space for Indigenous graduate students to get support, but also to move their work forward.
I'm hearing that there's a really good mix of both intellectual spaces, so different disciplines, different research directions, as well as physical space. You're making me really want to take a ferry and go visit the new law building.
You definitely should come. It's inspirational to walk through that building, I have to say. I love just going in there to sometimes feel inspired when I'm having a tough day myself. But yeah, I think it's really having an amazing transformational impact on our campus, and I'm super excited and grateful that we were able to get that project completed.
Yeah, and speaking about UVic expanding your roster of programs, I heard that you guys have a new Faculty of Health. What are the implications of that for health-related research happening on campus, and what do you see as UVic's strengths in this domain?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I came to UVic in 2017, and I'm a health researcher, my academic background's in neuroscience, I started meeting people, and there were all these health researchers, and they were flying under the radar. And I had mentioned earlier that we have about 900 faculty. If we were to go and poll them, about 200 of them out of those 900 would say, yeah, I work on health in one way or the other. And yet, to outsiders, they would never think of UVic as a health research university, right? No one would ever say that. If you say, what are the strengths of UVic, nobody would ever say health. And so I think one of the important purposes of this new faculty is to give some profile and vision to our group of health researchers that have been until now buried in a bunch of other units where the title of that unit doesn't speak to health, and so it's like they have no visibility. And so I think just from a reputational point of view, that'll be really important. It's creating a space for them to come together. And so we're imagining at UVic opportunities for new programs, maybe undergraduate programs in health that can be a conduit to professional programs or to graduate programs in a lot of different areas. We know there's huge demand People want to BSc Health because that opens the door to a lot of different opportunities for students at the professional graduate level. And then building some research collaborations and capacity as well. At UVic, our strength is not so much in the heavy biomedical area, but we've got real strengths in areas of health that I think are currently of public concern. So substance use, mental health, aging, Indigenous health. And so what we're doing from my office is we're funding research clusters that will bring our health community together to help them collaborate and really tackle some of these thorny issues from a deeper and more sophisticated perspective than they'd be able to do within their independent research programs.
Amazing. Once again, I'm hearing about the emphasis on space, both creating a space within UVic for these researchers to gather, as well as establishing UVic in certain specific spaces where you guys have excellent research already.
Yeah, and I think our long-term goal will be a capital expansion. So right now, the Faculty of Health exists within some existing spaces, but as you know from your background, health researchers need state-of-the-art spaces to do their work. And so right now we're in the planning stages for a new building for health, potentially to create a primary care clinic that would allow for team-based care, interprofessional education, and the integration of research right within the clinic. So the patients who would be rostered into the clinic would consent to be part of research projects from the beginning, and then we can collect all of their information and have them be part of those research projects. And then space for what we're calling a Health Futures Institute, which will really focus on translating research into real-world impact. And so taking good ideas and accelerating the pace of the work so that they can realize that real-world impact more quickly and more efficiently.
Fantastic. And for our final question, this is a question we ask all of the interviewees. What is your opinion on the value of the Canadian Science Policy Centre and its position in the community as a connection hub, knowledge mobilizer, and talent incubator in the science and innovation policy landscape?
Yeah, thanks for that question. You know, I have to congratulate Murtad. His energy and his vision is really amazing. I first came to this conference a few years ago, and it was quite a bit smaller. The explosion of interest, the prominence of this meeting, this has become, I think, a go-to event on the calendar every year. And so it's just amazing. I think when you see the mix of people within the sessions, you have people like me who are research administrators, VPRs, people like you, opportunities for students to come who maybe have a really strong science background, don't necessarily want to become a scientist themselves, but want to stay in the space. So an opportunity for them to learn about policy, about what policy means, how to influence policy in this country, how to collectively move together. I think the Canadian Science Policy Centre provides that forum for that work to unfold. And so I'm very supportive in general of the center and of this event. I think this is something we really need in this country as we work together to advance our priorities and to really figure out, you know, where do we need to go so that we can find solutions that are going to resonate with the Canadian public, but also enhance Canada's profile globally in this space.
I'm so glad to hear you say that you see this as a must-go event every year, because that means I get to see you again next year.
Well, thank you very much, and it was wonderful to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kalynchuk.